Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily, Tuesday training. It's Daz here. Posting really late tonight. Had so much to do today, really busy evening. But I'm not frustrated. I can get frustrated when I don't get DOdaily on at the normal time. I mentioned yesterday that I'm in pretty determined mood to get things going. And Tuesday's a great sort of example of really giving it a kickstart after Monday, of course. Monday motivation is all about going again, but I always talk about the solidarity session I put on through Do Running, and now we can use that and other people to motivate us and inspire us to get going and really crack on with the week. And whilst I've had a really busy day today, and I spoke yesterday a lot about a really busy period, doing different things, some of it good, some of it not so good, having to deal with things. I've been wanting to speak recently about a lot going on just in general. Of course, the last 18 months, one of the reasons I do daily stemmed from the start of the pandemic and the fact that I wanted to try and support and help people through that, and understand that we can actually thrive. We can actually keep pushing forward through all that. But more recently, we've had, before that, we had Brexit, which consumed a lot of people's time. After that, in the news at the moment, we've got all the issues in Afghanistan, haven't we? And it's heartbreaking when you look at that, you see what's happening there. But I guess sometimes when you look at that, it was seeing something on the news in the last couple of days that made me think about speaking about this. Whilst it really is upsetting, and things that happened, I spoke in the last week or so about my own personal loss. It's something we have to sort of switch off from a little bit. There's bad stuff that go on out there, and if we're having to deal with our own stuff, it can be really difficult. I've spoke today just about being consumed by all the things I'm doing. Some of those good again. One of them, the solidarity session itself, which I got so much from. I'll come back to that shortly. Then I went to a football match. It's what I do. It's where I get my kicks, kind of. Just got back from another 4-0 defeat, so that wasn't good. But I'm not letting that get to me too much. That situation is what it is as well. But like I say, all those things, that on top of what I spoke about sort of going through a busy period, and then everything that's going on in the world, and it boils down back to that thing I always say about don't be defined by things we can't control. It's really easy to get wrapped up in other people's problems, other people's issues. And whilst we have to be aware of it, we have to be sort of conscious of what's happening, and if we could help in any way, shape or form, I'm sure a lot of people would want to. But the reality is you watch it, and sometimes it just brings you down, not just the situation in Afghanistan, the COVID thing. If you're watching this, like myself, we're still here, we've got through it. Yes, we might have lost people, and that's absolutely upsetting, but we don't know what's going to happen next. So we've just got to keep sort of pushing forward. I spoke yesterday about finding this inner determination from somewhere. I don't know why. I wasn't feeling particularly great yesterday in terms of my sort of physical health, but something within me said that I need to kick again, I need to go again. And today, facing up to this solidarity session itself, I felt so much better. It's a steady run, and I'm used to running a bit quicker than that pace. No disrespect to the guys taking part, but I've not even been able to manage that in the last couple of weeks. And we always joke about and do a sprint finish, and I managed to do well in that as well, and I think just by telling myself, using the right words, switching out from what was good, what was bad personally, you don't forget these things. Nobody forgets these things in a hurry. Switching off a little bit from the television. One thing I have done, I spoke a lot about my working pattern, and I get to come home and have my lunch, and I have tended to watch the news, But it's just dawned on me in the last week with this whole Afghanistan situation, you know, there's lots of sort of, I wouldn't say misleading information because that would be misleading itself, but there's lots of information where even the reporters saying we can't tell you what we know. So what's the point in watching it? I've switched it off a little bit. You know, I'm like I say, it's actually hot. It's absolutely heartbreaking watching it, isn't it? It's so upsetting seeing what's happening. Imagine having to leave where you live, you know, your country, you know, because you're worried for your own life and your family. Do you know? But that also makes you realise, doesn't it, sometimes that we are actually quite lucky. We've got a lot going for us. I could have easily got stressed about not being able to do daily. You know, the football result. You know, having to fit everything in. I didn't eat a proper tea tonight because that kind of, I had to sacrifice that. I'm not sort of recommending that, of course. I always talk about sort of living to better habits and things like that. But I'm not perfect, you know, and if I want to do certain things, I have to do it a certain way. But thinking about all that, you know, thinking even sort of, I never got stressed at all, but even the hint of getting stressed about it when you see what's going on around you, you know, and what people have lost, you know, what people are losing all the time, you know, it just makes me feel quite lucky. I tend to feel this quite often anyway, you know, but I think it's just a perfect reminder right now, isn't it? You know, it dawned on me today, all these distractions, all these sort of disappointments that can get to us, you know, they're not actually worth it either. There's bigger issues in the world, and like I've already said, you know, it's not a case of completely switching out, but if you're not in a fantastic place with what you're feeling, you know, if you need to start thriving and getting through it, you know, just switch off from a little bit. I said all throughout the pandemic, all throughout COVID, that we can't control what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what's going to happen with variants, with numbers, with whatever. So all we can do is live with what we've got, you know, and that means if we're not in a fantastic place, tackling one day, one situation at a time, you know, keep pushing forward, using things like a solidarity session, all the things I try to put through across on DOdaily to just get through day by day, you know, just offer that little bit of distraction. And I spoke about that yesterday with a negative sort of connotation to it, you know, in the fact that I have been distracted by certain things along the way, and it's taken my mind off sort of some of these things I'm trying to impose on others and impose in my own life to make it a little bit better. But today, the distraction, I feel, you know, we need to just distract from all that bad stuff that's going on. If we keep watching that, you know, it's just going to bring us down. You know, it's just going to take us to a new level. So whilst I'm pretty pleased, yesterday again I got out for my walk, I'm pleased with realising how important that is again. Of course, I miss my running today. I've had a much better effort of that. You know, building up those small wins to keep pushing through it. The next thing I'm going to do is switch off a little bit more again from the news. Do you know, there was a point in the pandemic where I completely switched out, and all of a sudden I felt so much better. Do you know, whilst I feel for these guys, you see what I've already spoke about, you know, I can't do anything about it. You know, I wish I could, you know, and if there's something in the future where I can do something to support, I absolutely will, because that's what I really enjoy doing. But again, that gives, whilst it's an horrible situation, that gives you good feeling, doesn't it? It gives you good spirit. So all I'm saying, guys, is use sort of things like the solidarity session, a Wednesday workout, tuning into the live session on Thursday, you know, to really give it a go. I've asked the question this week. Perhaps with what I'm saying now, it don't quite fit in. I've asked the question, how are you coping with the restrictions loosening? But then again, why shouldn't I? Because what I'm looking for is a positive response. I'm looking for positive responses to take it forward. So if you can answer that throwback question, I'd really, really appreciate that. I'd really, really appreciate you to comment on this video, any of the previous videos, on any of the social media. hopefully we can sort of use that for people who aren't quite feeling it, they might get an idea of how they can take it forward, and I'll keep sort of imposing the things we've been doing regular, passing the message across that these things can work. Like I say, for me, just that, even though it was a week or two now, getting out for a good long walk and remembering what it did for me is reminding me to take on all these other habits that followed that before, and that's all we need sometimes, is just to click back into gear, just find that sort of inner steel to keep going, keep pushing on. Like I say, that solidarity session was amazing. It's something I work at quite a lot, so again, being in the right frame of mind going into it, getting something from the running. A lot of guys turned up, more than normal. It's a really small group. Like I say, we all work at the same pace, run together, we chat, we socialise whilst we're actually doing the activity. There's not much like that out there. I offer a virtual sort of session that can run alongside that for people who can't attend in person, And when you're doing things like that, when you're making that effort, you're just switching off from everything else that's going on. And that's one of the real purposes of what we do. There's lots of other reasons. I've spoke about those throughout. But today, I think it's really important to use such things to do something like that. It doesn't have to be much. I'm going to log my run as a not park run, something I've not done because park run's back, But again, that really worked for me. It really worked in logging it, monitoring progress, seeing how I was pushing forward. And that's what we need to see sometimes, isn't it? I spoke a lot about being distracted in the last couple of weeks. I'm always thinking about it. I'm always evaluating. But whilst there's no harm in being distracted, right now I need to regain that focus and really push on. Got a lot of big things to plan for, a lot to do, and of course a lot more DOdaily this week. I'll be back tomorrow talking about the importance of a Wednesday workout and what we can take from midweek motivation and whatever subject I choose to discuss. So until then, guys, have a great evening. Apologies for it being so late. Just doing it.